Hello everyone, welcome to BrickVault. Today we are revisiting one of the most iconic vehicles in the Star Wars universe. These are three minifig scale custom LEGO LAATs, or better known as Republic Gunships. From the same designer that built the first version of the gunship that popped up on our channel nearly 2.5 years ago, David Buckles has redesigned his model from the ground up, improving particular points of durability, refining the accurate details, and creating multiple variations depending on the era where this vehicle appeared. Specifically, there is the Episode 2 version of the gunship with the single sliding half door, optional ball turret, and olive green nose. There are two versions of the Clone Wars variation. We built one of Plo's Bros gunships in the dark blue. It's got double doors, and you can see we added floodlights in the front. It can also be built in the standard dark red. And lastly, David designed the Muunilist 10 gunship with the built-in Rancor's mouth and striped back paint job. Plus, the door design is a little different from the other versions, which is something I personally didn't notice until after these models were built. Also, it's worth mentioning that the Muunilist 10 has included an alternate build color. So if you wanted to make it look like this, the option is included. As you can imagine, there are a lot of great details and features to cover in this video, but first I'd like to say that the instructions can be found at our web store, brickvault.toys. With each purchase comes the PDF step-by-step building guide and a parts list for fast ordering on websites like Bricklink. We physically test the model for strength and function, get rid of rarer pieces, and provide instructions that can be simply followed. If you buy from us, you will be able to build this model in real life. David's got a ton of experience creating lots of models for others to be able to follow along to. And if you did want to try building a custom LEGO design, just click that link in the description below. In the case of these gunships, their alternate designs are sold individually. There are the two different Clone Wars designs together, the Episode 2 variant, or the two different variations of the Muunilist 10. The option to get them together as a single bundle at a discounted price is also there for you. And for all of these ships, David has also included alternate part variations that give you different detail piece options or functions for the ships. And I really do believe David has boosted these creations to the next level. But don't let me just tell you that. I will show you these gunships and let you decide for yourself. I'm going to use the Episode 2 version of this model to focus on initially, so I can outline some consistent design choices present in all of the designs, and then after that highlight subtle differences for each variation, of which there are actually quite a lot. Much of this ship is brick built. And specifically, what I mean by that is the exterior details and much of the framing is created by stacking various bricks either up and down or side to side instead of using larger plates and tiles outwardly facing, which is a fairly common approach. This means you've got an extremely smooth and consistent build for the wings, and many of the studs are reduced throughout the whole body. But more importantly than that, however, this method of building really helps marry many of the difficult angles of the ship together without seams or gaps that are too noticeable. As you pan across the side of the gunship, you'll see all kinds of techniques deeply set into the surface that function to keep all the angles and edges clean while not compromising necessary and specific proportions that help the model stay accurate to its original source. I cannot emphasize enough just how complex this area of the build is. I think you'll appreciate it even more when I come back and show you how different variations of the gunship differ here. And jumping over to the cockpit, you can see David emphasized the covered gunner seat behind the pilot. The center piece is removed, and then the two windscreens slide out on either side. The seats have a good little design with a control console printed slope in the front of either of them. It's easy to get the figs in and out of the model, which is always nice. And I like how the brick built red stripe just touches that front windscreen, So from afar, it helps sell that blended, smooth line look, which I always thought was really hard to capture in Lego bricks. The nose of this vehicle is one of the most difficult parts, I think, to get right though. The combination of the angles is very complex, and there are a lot of little things that need to fit well, or it sometimes can feel a little bit wrong. The brick-built shapes for this area just work for me. The specific colors of the shapes right in the front are accurate to a scary level of precision, and David tried out something new here by the laser cannons with the different wheel wells facing each other. It visually glues this area of the model together in a pretty outstanding way, and the caveat here is that the cannons don't move when built like this. Great for display, not so much for play, but hey, you don't say, you may build it another way. Rhyming aside, the common posable ball turret pieces are a design option for you if you want a full range of articulation. It's totally up to you, and I think it's worth also spinning this whole bad boy around to the back. So let me show you the rear hatch and how it comes down. It's a bit unconventional. This tile on the side, or either side if you want, is bent away to reveal a tiny axle that drops the door down when removed. Not as simple or as basic as a friction pull-down function, but the Technic lift arm skeleton built into the bottom of the gunship adds some monster strength to the design, and this is just how it is for the extra durability included. Also, you'll notice some attachment points on the doors. That's where speeder bikes fit in if you like. The same point that connects the trans-clear dish for the independent display on the bike is also the same place you want to use when you attach the bikes to the inside of the model, which is a nice function. There are some excellent clean details in the back. I especially like the smaller missile pod or missile belt design at the top, but frankly, I think it's now time to start showing all the models together and how they differ. So let's jump all the way back to the side of the gunships, where many of the big differences can be seen most easily. The Episode 2 model has only a half door to the side, like said before, so the ship is always a bit open to the air to one degree or another. Technic lift arms pull it back to reveal an interior with a net in the center for clones to hold onto if they want. There is also an angled tile under some of the panels at the top edge, which capture a very subtle angle only present in this version of the gunship. Now, when we switch over to the Clone Wars era version of the gunship, it includes double doors that close the hull off entirely. There's also no arched opening under the gunner seat, and instead this area is completely solid. It's interesting to notice how different the panel detailing is here due to the alternate parameters of this design. When the double doors do open, you can see they go to either side, and there is no subtle angle along the top edge. The interior has whisks for handles in the center for the clones to hold onto instead of a net. And I just want to reiterate here that we built the dark blue or Plo's Bros version of the Clone Wars ship, but both versions, the dark red version, are also included with this design. And then switching over to the Muunilist 10 gunship, the side details change once again. Similar to Episode 2, this model has the same arched opening in the front, but this time it's a single door that is full-sized and can close the area of the hull off completely. There's also no subtle angle edge at the top, but instead a small cutout at the back of the door, which is an accurate little detail to the original cartoon. And there are also no handles per se in the center, just metal for them to hold onto because the ARC troopers were just so metal. Okay, let's jump over to the front end attachments now. Episode 2 has the swinging armatures that connect to the turret gunners, commonly called ball turrets. I flippin' love the way this design looks. The flexi tubes and clipped-on armor details around the half domes just sells the look super well. The internal design is incredibly clever. They are easy to manipulate, very strong, and easy to remove, but I would never do that to this model. Ball turrets were never something I really cared about on a gunship, but David, I think, has changed my mind with this design. Then switching over to Plo's Bros Clone Wars gunship, there is the removable/attachable floodlights for when the planet's atmospheres interfere with ship sensors. These are some convenient little builds, not so commonly seen on gunships, I'll admit, but excellent for specific kinds of dioramas. The ratcheted joints articulate a little bit up or down, and let's slide forward a little bit and compare the noses. Episode 2 and Clone Wars have slightly slightly different greens right in the front, which is a nice bit of accuracy to pay attention to, but a big ol' whoop-de-doo when you've got the Rancor mouth of the Muunilist 10 in the shot at the same time. This thing looks awesome, as it should. The paint job, in my mind at least, is the #1 reason why this gunship design has been celebrated and recreated for so many years, and it's great to see how David tackled this part of the build. The black bricks help outline the slit eye. The quarter-round tan tiles work well as teeth detailing, I think, and his wheel well approach to the front cannons is awesome because it allows the whole front of this model to remain red. He even inverted some of the black and white pieces in the very front, which I think outlines some of the Rancor nose, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't even know they had noses. And let's actually just stick with the paint job through and through, because this is the last major difference any of these models really have. There is no round edge along the top because the pointed stripes are built in with tiles. There's also no exposed missile belts on the very top of the Muunilist 10 because this gunship, it seems, had this area contained. And you can see also a bit more stripe detailing along the back of the wings, which is brick-built tiles. There are a handful more small changes between these creations that I'm not going to bother mentioning, but suffice it to say, David really cares about creating accurate, strong, detailed models, and there was a lot of effort and time and redesign thrown into these creations. They each have a stand that studs in at the bottom and can rotate 360 degrees. There is a slight cant also to the axis here that allows the ship to point up, down, or banking to either side with enough friction that the ships stay in the position you left them in. It feels really, really good to have a model, or series of models, I should say, where the designer cares so much about form and function. These are absolutely awesome creations. If you did want to build any of these models for yourself, either individually or all bundled together, you can find the instructions at our web store, www.brickvault.toys. If you enjoy our content, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, share. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. Of course, let me know what types of builds you'd like to see next built in the studio, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.